now 3 o'clock, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Trustees together. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hope.
Here.
Ms. Hurd.
Here.
Mr. Corrado.
Here.
Mr. Depp.
Here.
Ms. Hairston.
Here.
Ms. Howard. Ms. Jones. Ms. Simpson.
Here.
And Mr. Williamson.
Here.
Thank you, Mary. Before we get on the agenda, and I guess in the interest of trying to run an efficient and effective board meeting, I would like to suggest that all people who want to speak for 3 minutes, whether it's an agenda item or a non-agenda item, please fill out the public speaking request form. It helps us to control every matter, and it also helps us then to get everything recorded of who is willing to speak. Thank you. Okay. The minutes for August 15, 2014 were mailed to all the Board of Trustees prior to today's meeting. Unless the board member requests a reading of those minutes, I will entertain, are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing no request for the reading of the minutes, nor additions or corrections to those minutes, let the record show that those minutes are approved as submitted. There's a slight change in our agenda. It says the bus operator recognition. Unfortunately, he could not be there. However, we do have a recognition that we'd like to have. Mark, I believe you'll do that.
Thank you, Franz. I'm going to tee it up, but I know Mr. Napier is going to lead this, but I just want to say it was not really a long time ago in a faraway place, but it was in this room back in late 2006 that we first engaged the services of Brower, and at the time there were many reasons that I talk about them a lot, why we did it, how much money we've saved annually, and since that time continue to save because it's been such a great relationship. But one of the issues, and it's not the only one that Bobby Edwards deals with, but one of my personal favorites is subrogation. When Mary and I used to go to the risk pool board meetings and we'd ask, why aren't we subrogating? We were told, well, they could do that, but they'd charge us an extra fee. Well, I'm thinking, well, they is we. We were the largest member of that pool and contributed the most to it. Jim may have some numbers, so I don't want to spoil that on the absolute fortune that's been recovered by Bobby. She's a lot tougher than she looks. And that's been just one of those services that clearly has set Brower, above and apart from our past relationship. So everybody at RTA knows Bobby. And word recently got out that she was actually thinking about retiring. We have bus driver jobs open here, right? In case you're looking for a new career. But with that, I'd like Jim Napier to step up and say a few things.
Good afternoon to everyone this wet and rainy day. As Mark said, since 2006, we've had a special arrangement with Brower Insurance to act as our broker. That's been a really productive relationship. And I got to tell you, one of the people at the cornerstone of that relationship over the years has been Bobby Edwards. We've expected a lot from Bobby, but probably no more than she expects of herself. She's been a true professional, an esteemed colleague, and a person that today I can call a friend. So we hate to see you go, Bobby, but we did want to get you up here today. We put together a nice gift basket for you. I'm going to ask my old risk management team to come up, and I'm going to ask Allison Ledford, our Director of Operations. Allison was our #1 customer and we still treat operations that way today internally in terms of support. Just a couple of things about Bobby. Like Mark said, in late 2006, Brower came on board as a partner of the RTA, and subrogation was one of the expectations we had, and Bobby has single-handedly taken this responsibility on. I'm proud to report today on behalf of the RTA and the taxpayers of Montgomery County, she has collected over $733,000 in monies due the RTA due to bus damages, other people running into our buses, that kind of thing. So we are so proud, and I know Bobby wanted to stay till she hit the $1 million mark, but nonetheless, I got to tell you, 733 is pretty darn good, Bobby. So with that said, if I can get you to come on up here, we'd love to give you a basket of RTA goodies so that when you head out into retirement, you don't forget us. On behalf of RTA, the risk management team, the executive director, and the board of trustees, thank you for your wonderful service.
Thank you very much.
Yes, my only regret is that I didn't hit the $1 million mark. I've retired about a year earlier than I had planned, so my mark was the $1 million. So I'm sure my person that's taking over, hopefully she'll be able to hit that mark for you. And I'm just going to miss everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for this.
Bobby, you're very welcome, and certainly on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I express to you our thanks for all you have done. As you know, the economics of running a bus company are very difficult and very complex, and you aided greatly in adding revenue to our stream. So thank you so very, very much, and we wish you all the best in retirement.
Thank you so much.
Good.
You know, you don't have to share with those two guys over there.
I don't intend to. Thank you.
Thank you again, Bobby. We now go to the committee reports. The first is the Finance and Personnel Committee. Sharon Hairston.
The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting on August 19th, and as a result, four action items are being recommended today. Action item number 2, trolley wire and feeder cable. This procurement is for the purchase of 30,000 feet of trolley wire and 15,000 feet of feeder cable. The trolley wire and feeder cable will be used in conjunction with projects on Main Street, Apple Street, and Smithville Road. This procurement will be funded with federal grant dollars, and Miami Valley Hospital will provide matching funds. Mr. Rhodes and Mr. Robinson provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in your board package. Jean and Gary are available today to answer any questions the board may have. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to award a contract to Westco Distribution for trolley wire in the estimated amount of $133,670 plus a 10% contingency of $11,367 for a grand total of $125,037. Further, I move to award a contract to Integrity Wire for feeder cable in the estimated amount of $288,750 plus a 10% contingency of $28,875 for a grand total of $317,625. Both awards are subject to the price of copper COMEX as published in the American Metal Market at time of delivery.
Motion made by Sharon. Is there a second to the motion?
Second it.
Second by Adrian. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Any abstentions? Action item number 2 passes unanimously.
Action item number 3, fuel for transit coaches, ultra-low sulfur. Ultra-low sulfur, ULS, fuel is used on a daily basis to fuel the Greater Dayton RTA diesel bus fleet and paratransit vehicle fleet. Vendors were required to base their bids on the daily OPIS, Oil Price Information Services, gross number 2, ultra-low sulfur distillate price, Dayton, Ohio. Rack average price, or rack average plus or minus a fixed differential. The differential is the key bid element. Mr. Rhodes and Ms. Stanford provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in your board package. Jean and Mary are available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to award a contract to Mansfield Oil Company of Gainesville Incorporated for ultra-low sulfur fuel with a differential of minus .0409 on the OPIS for an estimated award amount of $4,650,683 for the base year, a differential of minus .0391 on the OPIS for an estimated award amount of $4,653,299 for option year 1, and a differential of minus .0372 on the OPIS for an estimated award amount of $4,656,060 for option year 2, for an estimated grand total of $13,960,042. Actual costs will vary based on the daily OPIS price and the number of gallons purchased.
Motion made by Sharon. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Second by Jamie. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Any abstentions? Action item number 3 passes unanimously.
Action item number 4, miscellaneous infrastructure parts, various locations. The purpose of this procurement is to obtain miscellaneous overhead trolley parts for the Greater Dayton RTA. The parts are necessary for the Smithville Road, Main, Apple, and Warren Street projects for general overhead system improvements. Awards under small purchasing will be made to MAC Products, line items 3 and 29, totaling $17,560, and to Impulse NC, LLC, for line items 1, 10, 12, 26, 27, 36, and 38, totaling $67,697. This procurement will be funded with federal grant dollars, and Miami Valley Hospital will provide matching funds. Mr. Rhodes provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in your board package. Jean is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to award a contract to Phoenix Mining for all other line items totaling $161,413.
Motion made by Sharon. Is there a second? Vince? Okay. Motion's been seconded by Vince. Are there any questions or comments? For those of you wondering why Miami Valley Hospital is matching funds, we're making some of these changes at the request of Miami Valley Hospital, and they agreed to pay for those changes. Okay. If there are no further questions or comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Action item number 5, commercial interior products and services. The purpose of this procurement is to contract with the firm to provide the RTA with a qualified contractor to provide commercial interior products and services such as interior design, project management, move management, reconfiguration services, warehousing, delivery, and installation and refurbishing of commercial interior products. RTA anticipates awarding a 5-year contract. The successful firm will do the interior design and space planning, provide new furniture and commercial interior products, and manage the entire process from the initial evaluation to measurements, coordination with the general contractor, etc. This procurement will be primarily funded with federal capital funds. Mr. Rosinski provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in your board package. Bob is available. Well, I don't really see.
That was my error.
Well, okay, Bob is not really available, and so Mark will answer
here.
any questions you may have. And I'll answer any you may have, to a certain extent. Okay, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to award a contract to Elements 4 Interiors for commercial interior products and services at the labor rates, pricing rates, and refurbishment costs proposed. Total dollar amount will not exceed annual approved budgeted amounts.
Motion made by Sharon. Is there a second? Second by Edward. Are there any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Any abstentions? Action item number 5 passes unanimously. Sharon, I believe you have additional report.
That concludes my action items. However, at the meeting, Ms. Stanford reported that sales tax receipts continue to be positive. For May 2014, we are up 6.1% compared to May 2013, and up 2.3% year-to-date, May 2013. Ms. Stanford also reported that Montgomery County is considering a 1.5% sales tax growth projection for their 2015 budget. Ms. Stanford then reported that RTA revenues continue to trend in a positive direction. RTA operating expenses are under budget. We still have a balanced budget year-to-date. Self-funding for health insurance has been a positive for our bottom line. Mr. Hoagie discussed the prospect of a 1/4-cent sales tax increase, and in return, all fares on RTA buses would be free. This was for conceptual consideration only. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. And I want to reemphasize, it was strictly for conceptual discussion. As we always look at ways to how to improve service, how to generate revenue, how to make it more convenient for the public, being advantageous for the public, and it was just one of the many items we said we should address in the entire mix to see whether it has applicability. And as with any situation, there are pros and cons no matter what decision is made. So I don't want anyone to believe that we've made a decision that we're going to request a 1/4% sales tax or that the service will be free. It's just being discussed as many other items are being discussed. If there's no further comments or questions of Sharon, I thank you for your report. Thank you very much. The next item is our Planning Committee. Janet could not be here today, and Adrian has agreed to give Janet's report.
Okay. The Personnel Committee, the Planning Committee met with the Finance and Personnel Committee on August 19th. They have no action items, but do have important updates to bring before you. Ms. Ellen Belcher of Burgess & Burgess Incorporated provided a brief update on the RTA message training efforts that are underway. The theme of this messaging is stressing the importance of our RTA to access jobs, health care, and education opportunities. Ms. Belcher stated that the RTA is not just a bus company, but an integral part of our region's economy and is an important asset to the community. Ms. Belcher also stressed that RTA staff are important ambassadors who can share and work this message in our daily activities. Mr. Eckler provided an update on service improvements that were implemented on August 31st. Highlights included a new service extension to the new Racino facility on Needmore Road and schedule adjustments to a variety of routes to help improve on-time performance. Ms. Pritchett of the Marketing Department provided an update on the Read on RTA program and highlighted recent community outreach events such as How to Ride sessions with residents of the Biltmore, the Miamisburg Touch a Truck event, and the Runway Fest held at the Wright Brothers Airport near Austin Pike. This concludes the report, Mr. Chairman, and Frank Eckler would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Adrian. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none. Thank you, Adrian. Moving on to the Executive Director's report. Mark?
Thank you, Franz. Just a few items that are informational. The first run of our 2015 budget was presented to me last week, and we'll be obviously working our way towards a presentation with the board in the not-too-distant future because it's that time of year. We're continuing our search for a new chief maintenance officer. Gene hasn't changed too much since he went back to maintenance, even though he sounds a little different on the phone every once in a while when I call back there. But I appreciate all he's doing to keep things moving. And we've got a great team in maintenance right now, so we're managing to get through without any hiccups. But the search continues. We've had some good interviews, and hopefully we'll be able to wrap that one up pretty soon. Last week I was in Columbus, as I often am, but for a good event. It was a Grow America presentation by the FTA administrator in Washington, who came to Ohio to make a presentation, and we had a great session that went on for several hours about the administration's plans, and it was a good, I thought, diverse group of business people and government types as well to talk about the future of the Highway Trust Fund and how we're going to fund that. So it was a good roundtable conversation, and I was happy to be a part of that. And then finally, just wanted you to be aware that currently there's an update being made to the Greater Downtown Dayton Plan. I served originally as the Transportation Committee Chair, so I've been part of the update as well. And I think you're going to like the outcome there. I think we're really close to presenting the final update of the plan. And obviously, as you know, great things have been happening downtown, and I think you'll see a lot of highlights out in the plan. In addition to, you know, some new ideas for how do we keep the momentum going and continue to grow things in downtown. Unless there are questions, that's really all I have for today.
Thank you, Mark. And I think the important part is the budget. You can realize how complex of an issue that is for us to put together a budget for next year. We have to estimate today what we think people are going to buy and the amount of sales tax revenue we're going to get in the future. Because as you know, that 0.5% sales tax that we have in existence from the time that the RTA was formed is the major source of revenue for us. And we saw the impact when sales were down in 2008 and 2009, the large and negative impact it had on the RTA, the negatives we were running, deficits we were running at those periods. Also, the difficult part, you saw us today approve the purchase of oil, and there's no quoted price. There's a differential from the quoted price. The price is that which will be posted in the future. And that is why you see at times we also enter into, when the investment committee gives its report on future contracts, we try to lock in that and maybe even save dollars if we possibly can by entering into a future contract which offsets the price that we have to agree to here in the purchase of the fuel oil. Very difficult, very complex, but I compliment the RTA. They have always done a diligent job of putting together a very detailed report and put a lot of time in trying to make it as realistic as possible. So we look forward to looking at the first draft. I think it's one of the upcoming board meetings, and we'll report the final results of the budget that we approved at a subsequent meeting towards the end of the year. Thank you. Is there any old business to come before the board? Is there any new business to come before the board?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I have some new business I'd like to conduct.
Sure.
At the risk of embarrassing our president, I'm going to circulate among
Vince,
you.
can I ask you to leave that for item number 11 on the agenda, which is board member comments?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, we'll do that at that time then. Because we then have to go to public comments. And April, forgive me, I'm difficulty reading your last name here, but Easterling, okay, wonderful, April. Now, if it would be easier if we gave you a mic instead of you having to go to the podium, whatever you, go to podium, okay. April, I believe you understand the procedures. You have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please start by stating your name and address, and at that point in time, your time will start. And when you have a half a minute left, there will be a yellow light that will shine over there, so you'll be able to summarize your point. So, thank you, April.
Yes, my name is April Easterling. I live at 420 Bolander, that's Bolander Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, 45417.
Thank you.
I'd like to give a shout out to the ladies and gentlemen that's talk on the phone, the operators. I met a Miss Loretta today, and she was extremely healthy in helping me on what I needed to do. And then I met a Miss Janet, and she helped me very much. And I'd just like to give a shout out to them for good things, you know, for them helping me and stuff. And then a few bus drivers I like to give Miss Barb. Barb, she drives the bus on number 9 in the mornings. And I just wanted to give a good shout out to her too.
Well, April, we really appreciate what you've said, and we encourage you to come back often to make similar presentations. As you know, so often people come to complain, and yet we know how hard management works of setting the highest standards possible for our riders, and take that very, very seriously. So hearing nice comments that you have to make is really substantiates the fact that management is succeeding in accomplishing all it set out to do. So thank you very much for expressing those shout-outs and throwing those roses. Thank you. Thank you.
And
make
while
sure we get those-
management sets the standard, it is the people out there that drive the bus and do those things that make it work. So we really appreciate you making comments about them.
Okay.
And as always, it will be passed on to the appropriate person in management to share with their team.
Right.
Correct?
So they'll hear your wonderful comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Vince, we now get to the part where board members can,
If it just serves you right, don't ever try to come into a meeting and not coordinate with your president. And I was trying to surprise him, and he just blew me out of the water, which is why we love him. Anyway, I want to pass this amongst our board members. On August 24th, Franz Hoagie was honored by the Dayton Dragons. He's out and kind of look at this. As a community volunteer, I think of the century, but I'm sure it wasn't. Probably of the month.
It's an
Anyway,
old picture, right?
these are the programs from that game, and I try to grab enough for the board members, but if you open up the front cover, very nice picture of Franz and his wife. And he got to throw out the first pitch, and I know we're making you red-faced, which is what we intended to do.
you're succeeding.
What we intended to do. But the Dragons Community All-Stars program was made possible by Vectren, and Franz was selected as the Dragons Community All-Star. So, and most of this is around all the work he's done for the Human Service Levy, which is coming up. He's worked countless hours on that. So a lot of this has to do with that, but he's been involved in so many things over the years. So it's just, I could not let this meeting go by without bringing this and presenting it.
Well,
All right.
I did learn a lesson. Never try to speak in this committee meeting unless you talk to the president.
thank you. Well, thank you very much, Vince. It's so gracious of you to have
A
said
couple of
that.
these over here if anybody wants.
And just sort of set the record straight, the picture on the cover is not me as an infant. Yes, I was recognized, but unfortunately, only one person gets selected. And as you know, there's so many people who get involved in human services. We all know the importance of human services in this community. And this is not a welfare program. This is really a program to help people overcome the difficulties that they incur, many of them temporarily. And every 4 years, it's on the ballot, and it must be on the ballot because the Human Services Levy runs for 8 years, and there are two parts. Each matures at the midpoint of the other. So every 4 years, you see the human services on the ballot. If the public does not approve the ballot, we lose about $65 million directly from the Human Services Levy, as well as the matching funds received from the state and the federal government. So it would have a drastic impact on our community. So we're gearing up again for this November when the Human Service Levy is on the ballot. And so we all hope you will look favorably upon that, encourage your coworkers and your friends and relatives to vote their conscience, and recognize there, for the grace of God, go I. So thank you very, very much. And if it's appropriate, I would like to at least ask the board if they will be willing to at least endorse the Human Service Levy, so that we always publish a list of the organizations that approve, not the levy itself, but endorse the concept of the Human Service Levy. So if that is an appropriate request of the board, and so we can say the RTA would do that. They did that 4 years ago. I would entertain a motion that we do endorse it.
I move.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Sharon made the motion and seconded by Adrian. Are there any questions or comments anybody would like to add? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I guess I better abstain because I've been so heavily involved in all of this. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, Vince. Very gracious of you. I don't think there's a need for an executive session. And before we adjourn the meeting, I'd just like to point out that our jointly held Finance and Personnel Committee, which is going to be held on September 16th, we normally start at 9 o'clock, but we're going to have a training program from 7:30 in the morning till 9, and 9 o'clock will be the regular scheduled meeting. So for those board members who were not present at the last planning committee, you will be getting an email, again, informing you of the training program, but it does start at 7:30 in the morning. And I think we were promised we will have coffee and bagels there, so that will hold us over for that session. Is there any other comments to come before the board?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one. I would like to thank RTA for once again participating in Wright State's Fall Fest. Every time I walked past the bus, it was crowded with students. So, job well done.
Good. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Ed, for saying that. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jamie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approves unanimously. Thank you very much.